Welcome to Learntec 2014 here in Karlsruhe. With me is Professor Dr. Simon Peyton Jones. You're from Microsoft Research, and your field is to educate students. What is going on in England? Where is the field live right now?
Right. Well, so my day job is just to be a research computer scientist. So I study computer science and work on programming languages. What we're talking about today is actually my kind of evening job, which is working with on the school education system in England for what we're doing for the computing education. Because until recently, we were teaching children only how to use computers and not at all about how they worked.
So, what are the changes in the school system in the UK right now? Where it is going?
So the UK has gone through a very big shift in the education system just recently. There was a review of the whole national curriculum, but on the computing part, Britain used to have a subject called Information and Communication Technology, which was a good subject, but it was entirely about how to use computers and apply them in a thoughtful and purposeful way. Now we've introduced a completely new layer into the computing curriculum. It's been retitled from Information and Communication Technology to Computing, and as well as ICT, it now covers computer science. So by computer science, I mean the subject discipline that underlies digital systems, in the same way that you might see that physics or chemistry underlies the system that is a car. You know, inside there's friction and mass and combustion going on. And so inside a computer, there's all sorts of amazing things and ingenious and clever things going on that every child needs to know a little bit about. And that's the new thing. And it's really like establishing a whole new subject.
So what you're doing is getting more information on how stuff is working, so what you're trying to learn is easier to consume.
Well, I would think of it like this. It's like when we learn a bit of science at school, we learn kind of foundational principles that don't change very rapidly, like mass and acceleration and how tadpoles breed and so forth, and that remains true over a long period. We also learn about discrete technologies, you know, how to use a bandsaw, how to use a checkbook, how to drive a car, and they do change as checkbooks and cars change. So in computing, we've really only focused on the latter, how to use them, and now we're going to, in addition, teach about some of the fundamentals about how digital systems work. And you should think of that as a subject discipline, in the same way that you think of it as science, with principles that don't change very quickly. So that would include programming and abstraction, and how algorithms work, and how data structures are represented, and how the same kind of bits can represent music and art and programs and text all at the same time.
It's an amazing field because it's so broad. There's so many different varieties in there to use then later on. But how can the different countries learn from each other? How it is important that Germany and the UK and Australia, they're working together to get on a new level?
Oh, well, I think all over the world we're learning, that different countries are learning that just learning about how to use computers is not enough. So in the United States, there's an organization called code.org that's very much about establishing computer science at school level. In Sweden and Norway and Belgium and France, and certainly in Britain, this is all happening. So I think around the world there's a sense that we must shift to including computer science as a sub-foundational discipline. Think of it as like you're saying all the different ways in which computing surfaces. If you look around here, you'll see a million different kinds of computers. They all manifest in different ways, but they're like the flowers that come from the same roots, and we want to teach about the roots. And the fact that's happening in a lot of different countries indicates that there's something sort of deep and fundamental going on here, and we can learn from each other, I think, a lot. Though our countries differ quite a bit in our educational systems. I think Britain is a sort of interesting crucible right at the moment, because we've made quite a big, discrete change, very explicitly establishing computer science from primary school onwards. That's more radical than any other country in the world has done. So I think a lot of countries are going to look at Britain with a great deal of interest in the next year or two to see how it works out. But I'm very optimistic.
Thank you very much for your insight. It's a very, very exciting new field, and I see there is a lot of going on in the next year. So we would be very appreciative if we hear more from you, to learn more from you. Thank you very much for being here.